Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for Fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. My name is Dan and welcome to the Gameweek 18 episode of Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid, the video where we try and identify some players that we should be buying and we shouldn't be buying and all the kinds of things like that. So if you do enjoy this video, please do leave a like, especially as it is my birthday today. So, I mean, give me likes on my birthday. That's the only gift I want from you today. No, that would be massively appreciated in all honesty, guys. And do subscribe if you're new around here as well. But without further ado, guys, let's have a look at the rules of the video. Okay, so buys are players you probably don't have but should consider bringing in. Sells are players you probably have but should consider removing. Keeps are players that you might be thinking about removing but I think you should keep them. And avoids are players that are pretty hyped up right now. I think there are potential traps that maybe we should actually be avoiding. 2 players in each category. Let's have a look at some of these buys. So the first buy I'm going to talk about today is Mitrovic, who once again has just done amazingly. And I know he was playing against a 9-man defense or 9-man team, I guess. But at the same time, what a machine. And he's not even fully fit yet. He's incredible. He's incredible. 6.8 million as a forward as well is insane. You look on screen, you can see his stats. 3 games played between game week 13 and 17. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists. Very good underlying numbers here. 20 shots here as well. So he's taking like 7 shots per game pretty much, which is just lovely. Most of which are in the box. And look at the fixtures. Southampton at home at next. Southampton disappointed in game week 17 once again. In game week 19, the double game week. Leicester at home. Leicester, a poor defensive performance from them. Maybe we're kind of seeing back to what Leicester were at the beginning of the season, where they really just could not defend for the life of them. If we're getting that bad Leicester defence back, then again, they're going to be a team we should be targeting even in single game weeks. And we've got a double game week here. Chelsea away. And Chelsea are a team who, you know, it's been really difficult for them. They have been conceding goals, and at the same time Mitrovic is a player who does typically score against anyone as well, so it seems like even that Chelsea game could be a good opportunity for Mitrovic to, you know, grab the odd goal. Could be pretty nice from there. So the next 2 game weeks, I really feel like Mitrovic could be one of the highest scoring players in the whole of FPL. And in game week 19, I even think he's a captain option. I know people are probably going to default to Haaland, but if you fancy a punt on a double game week player, try and go slightly differently and take advantage of the double game week, then maybe Mitrovic is your guy. I think it's a genuine possibility. So overall, good prize player, 6.8 million. I would be buying him. If you've got a Callum Wilson in your team right now, I would be selling him. If you've got maybe some other forward that you're not fully convinced by, or maybe you're currently running with a, you know, 2 forward formation, I'll be trying to work out how I could get the 3rd forward and get Mitrovic in, because he really is that good of an option at the moment. You know, he's a machine, and he's going to absolutely kill it over the next 2 game weeks. You can just see it coming, can't you? Alright, Almiron is going to be our next buy, and I know a lot of you guys will have him in your team already. Probably about half of you have already got Almiron. For the other half of you, surely you've got to get him in now. A return to the Premier League football and a return to form for Almiron. He's still there. He's still Messi reincarnated, apparently. He's just on absolute flames, and he's got some great fixtures like Leeds and Fulham here, which are going to be some insane opportunities for him to score FPL points. Like, if he is doing what he's been doing already in these kind of easy, nice fixtures, Newcastle continue at their absolute best, genuinely challenging. Maybe, can we even say that Newcastle are title challengers at this point? We are getting to that point. They're absolutely insane, aren't they? They've been playing so well, and Almiron has been a huge part of that. Got good fixtures. He is 5.8 million, so super cheap. And I feel like the longer you leave it without buying Almiron into your team, the further and further you are going to slip back, because he's just going to get more and more popular, and people will put off getting him in and say, you know, well, it's only Almiron. I don't know what to say. This current Almiron is just a different beast whatsoever, and we've known for a long time about late bloomer players. We did see this Almiron in the MLS. He wasn't immediately able to transfer that over to the Premier League, but now what we have is one of genuinely the best players in the Premier League on form, you would say. And with these fixtures, at this price, with the form of the team as well, everything is looking perfect for Almiron to continue to be an absolute beast. So absolute must buy as far as I'm concerned. First sell is Perisic, and I have to be honest with you guys, I'm struggling a little bit with the sells. I'm struggling because there's not really too many popular players that I think are actually sells. I think in general, the players that are popular are kind of popular for a reason, and they are generally good picks, and I think that's why FPL has been so difficult this year. It's because everyone's really been smashing it. Everyone's been playing so well. Everyone's been picking the right players. But in terms of popular players that I think you could maybe afford to remove, Perisic would be among them. So first of all, Spurs consistently still, we've seen it after the break as well, just like before the break, they are shipping goals. They can't keep clean sheets. They are conceding way too many goals. They are being very, very Spursy as usual. And also the other thing, as well as a lot of goals, which so you're not going to get many clean sheets from Spurs, the factor that Perisic has played so much football. He's just played 90 minutes again for Spurs. He's had an insanely intense World Cup for Croatia. And I don't know if he's got the legs for it, if I'm honest. And Conte is already kind of recognised as a player who regularly rotates Perisic, regularly subs him off very early in the game, or brings him on late on in the game and gives you those one-pointers. And I feel like, you know, what's the upside here? What's the upside? Well, I guess you could say, you know, maybe he plays one of the next two. Probably. These games are kind of tightly packed together. Maybe he plays both of these next games, and I guess that would be good. Maybe you could, you know, they're good fixtures at least, so maybe you get clean sheets out of it. In terms of that game week 20, not only is he playing against two of the toughest attacks in the league, but also, do we think Perisic is going to play 2 games in that short space of time? I'm not sure. We're going to have Sessegnon back very, very soon, so that's a factor to consider as well. I just don't know if I'd want to have Perisic in my team right now. I think there's rotation risk. I think there's resting risk. I think some of these fixtures are, you know, don't look good for defenders anyway. And the rest of them, it doesn't really matter because Spurs concede goals. So I think I would probably strongly consider selling Perisic, especially if you haven't got the likes of, you know, Trippier or maybe Reece James or players like that, who have got either double game weeks or are playing for insane teams, or maybe you haven't got an Arsenal defender and you want to get in on the Arsenal defence. I think selling Perisic in order to do that could be actually a quite good move. Next sell is Pascal Gross. So he's got Arsenal up next, and then some kind of mixed fixtures, I guess, that are not really too bad, but not like anything super amazing. He's a 5.6 million midfielder, which is obviously a really, really nice price, but he is the same price as Almiron. And even though we have seen 2 goals from Pascal Gross just before the World Cup break, what we have seen from Gross since De Zerbi took over, Gross has been playing a lot deeper for Brighton. He's been playing kind of in, you know, defensive midfield, or sometimes covering in the fullback position as well. He's not been playing as an attacker as we saw from the beginning part of the season. So I know a lot of people are still thinking Gross from early on in the season obviously was a fantastic pick. The player that we have right now is quite literally not the same player, because Gross previously was playing as a striker or a second striker or sometimes a winger. Now he's playing as a defender or a defensive midfielder, so we're naturally not going to get as many attacking returns from him. Double game week has a very good chance of a double game week in game week 21 for Gross, so that is the one thing I would maybe consider keeping him for. But at the same time, the fixtures in the short term are not that good, and we know that he's going to be playing very deep. Yes, he's got a couple of goals recently, but his numbers are not looking particularly good at all. You can get better. There's a lot of good cheap options. We've spoken about Almiron, you know, Martinelli if you haven't got him already, Rashford. I know these players are slightly more expensive. Ødegaard at the moment. Players who are putting up really, really good numbers, slightly better fixtures perhaps as well. And I think I would much rather remove Gross and move to one of those guys, even though Brighton do have a double game week. Hold that thought, because Trossard is actually going to be a keep, because like the underlying numbers are much better. Again, we have got that double game week coming up against Leicester and probably one of, I believe it's either Bournemouth or Crystal Palace. I think those are the 2 fixtures that potentially we can see move into game week 21 for Brighton. So super likely double game week there. In fact, I mean, I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident that's going to happen, and I'm pretty confident it's going to be announced very soon. And once that is announced, we know how good Trossard is as a player. He is not, unlike Gross, he is playing still in an advanced position. Underlying numbers look good. And what we've also seen from Trossard, I know we've got fixtures here like Arsenal and Liverpool and maybe even Leicester. What we have seen from Trossard is that he's pretty much fixture proof, and he will score against the big teams as well as the small teams. So he's not really a player that you want to pick up just for those good runs of fixtures. He'll score against anyone. And Brighton, again, showing some good performances. I think they are still a team to watch. I still think they're a very good, strong team, and the numbers are suggesting that they are as well. And Trossard, even though he may not have had an amazing start back from international football in game week 17, we know he's a fantastic player. We know he's the star of the show. And if we're going to get this fixture-proof player with decent underlying numbers, with a double game week on the horizon, he's just not a sell for me. I think you've got to keep him. My other keep is Darwin Nunez, and this is a controversial one. I know it is, and I know the less patient FPL managers among us probably had Darwin for one game week and decided, no, never again. This is the new Timo Werner of the Premier League. But I think that is too harsh because the numbers, like, I know I'm talking a lot about numbers today, but the numbers, look at the numbers, boys. Expected goals in the last 4 games, so 4 starts for Darwin. 4.10 expected goals, 2.28 expected assists. That's over 6 expected returns, almost 6.5 expected returns in just 4 games. And fair enough, he hasn't been delivering, he hasn't been delivering at an 100% success rate. In fact, he's delivering at about a 50% success rate. But it doesn't really matter. If I'm completely honest, it doesn't really matter because we've got a situation where if Darwin scores 1 goal and get, out of 5 chances in a game, then that's great. That's equally as good. You get equally as many FPL points as a player who scores with every single chance they get, but only get 1 decent chance per game. The numbers are insane, and it's usually pretty consistent that when we see players with these really insane amount of chances to score, they do eventually deliver on the law of a longer period of time. We will see them. We know Darwin can finish. He's not like a completely useless finisher. Is he clinical? No. But is he useless at finishing? No, he's not that either. And he does have a decent amount of creativity to his game as well. The expected assist stat there, that's not on Darwin. That's on his teammates for not finishing the chances that he's creating for them. We've seen how bad Leicester were last game week as well. Could this be a really good fixture for Darwin against Leicester? Very, very possibly. We could see again a Darwin Nunez who has a lot of chances to score. And he's not going to miss all of the chances forever. He's already proven that. We've already seen this season that he's already scored a lot of goals. Yes, fair enough. He's not scoring everything that he touches. I understand that. But he is still scoring goals. He is still getting assists in all competitions. And with the amount of chances that he gets, you hope so. But it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. As long as he gets you goals eventually, and as long as he scores a few goals over the next few game weeks, you're going to want to have him in your team. The next 2 fixtures are very nice for him. I like these fixtures, and I would definitely want to keep Darwin. The only player I would consider removing for Darwin Nunez would be Mitrovic. Mitrovic would be the only player I would consider bringing in instead of him. And that's a really, really difficult decision that I have not made myself personally, but I'm tempted to stick with Darwin against Leicester. I really am tempted. And speaking of Liverpool players, we've got Van Dijk next. I'm going to put in the avoid category. Yes, I know he scored last game week, but once again, Liverpool with their high line, it just seems like they're just not good enough to execute this high line anymore, and they're conceding so many chances. They've consistently been one of the worst defenses. I mean, you can look at all of the numbers you like. If they didn't have Alisson in goal, they probably would have conceded, 40 goals so far this season, like without even joking. It really has been that dire for Liverpool defensively, and they've been very lucky that they've been doing very well in attack to try and keep themselves afloat a little bit there and get them in some good, a respectable position in the table at least. But in terms of defenders in FPL, what we want is a team that can keep clean sheets, and Liverpool are just not a team that can keep clean sheets, very unfortunately. And Leicester, I think, is an okay fixture for clean sheets, but after that, we know Brentford can score goals, we know Brighton can score goals, and Chelsea, they can score goals as well. That's not an easy fixture. So overall, the clean sheets are unlikely. If you're looking for goals, yes, fair enough. You probably are going to get 1 goal every 8 games for Van Dijk, something like that. 1 every 7, 8, 9 games you'll probably get from him. But is it good enough to justify spending 6.5 million? Is it worth going for Van Dijk over the likes of Trippier and, Reece James with the double game week coming up and the good fixtures and playing for a better defence than Liverpool? You can slate Chelsea's defence as much as you like, but they haven't been as bad as Liverpool's. There's many other defenders, cheaper defenders, Arsenal defenders, other Newcastle defenders. There's some good teams. Have you got a Man City defender? Some people don't. But you can get all of these players instead of Van Dijk. Even Robertson I would rather get, because at least you can predict his attacking output a little bit more, more consistency of attacking returns. Still probably not worth it. But Liverpool defenders in general, I just would completely be avoiding them. That's including goalkeeper as well, because they're just not good enough in defence for me, and I think they have to be avoided. And my final avoid is Tony, which is an interesting one because, again, like I said earlier, it's been pretty difficult because to make buy, sell, keep, avoid this week, because I don't want to, make definitive statements. We've only had 1 game back since the Premier League restarted, so look, there's probably going to be a mistake or 2 in here. But for Tony, if I had him already, I would keep him. But if I didn't have him, I don't think I would buy him. And I wouldn't buy him because of this gambling offence thing that keeps keeps haunting Tony. Even more gambling offences kind of announced last week that Tony has been suspected of, where he has been kind of insider trading in gambling, and he's betting. It's not looking good, and it's kind of an unprecedented amount of offences as well, and he could be banned from football for such a long time. It really could be quite mad how long he's banned for. We know Brentford are already in the transfer market looking for replacement forwards, because there is this opinion that this is going to catch up with Tony in the very near future. I believe he has until the 4th of January, so just less than 1 week's time to respond to these allegations, and then after that, it could be game over within a few weeks for Tony. And for that reason, I wouldn't want to be bringing him in. Like I said, however, if I already had him, I would consider keeping him, just because if you're going to have to use a transfer to remove him, you may as well do it as late as possible. It could be that Tony is very motivated to do well whilst he still has a chance to play football. At the same time, are the fixtures amazing in the short term? Not really are they. West Ham have been pretty defensively good so far this season. Maybe a blip against Arsenal. Don't know if that's a sign of things to come. Liverpool is a reasonably good fixture, particularly for counter-attacking players. Is Tony that kind of player? I mean, maybe. He can do it. He definitely can. He is definitely capable of that and getting in those dangerous positions. So yeah, would I keep Tony? Probably. Would I buy Tony? Probably not. Probably not, to be honest. I think this is an accident waiting to happen, but I don't know. His numbers are good. I just can't bring myself to buy him. I really couldn't. I would like to get in the head of some people who can bring themselves to buy him, especially when there are so many other forwards who are great options, arguably just as good options as Tony, and are not facing, a gambling ban. There we go, guys. That's the final avoid. In summary, guys, I should say that this is a game week. We've only been back to FPL 1 week, and I would imagine that most of you guys spent a lot of times on your game week 17 team. I would not rip it up immediately. I don't think you need to take a -4, and I don't even think you necessarily need to make a transfer unless you feel like you've got something really, really wrong in your team. It might be quite nice to actually take 2 transfers into the double game week and try and save things. You built the team that you've got right now for a reason, and it's important to remember that. There are, of course, going to be a few key players that you are going to want to have in your team. If you, for some reason, didn't pick them up and realize I've made a terrible mistake, then absolutely use your transfers, but don't feel like you have to this week. I think this is one of those game weeks where it's kind of up to you whether you want to make a transfer or not. Don't feel too much pressure to do it. It's not like you're going to lose it. You can always save it for next week. And that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave me a birthday like. I would appreciate that. And do subscribe as well if you're new around here as well. I'm going to try and do a team selection video tomorrow, although it's a busy day for me tomorrow as well. I will try and get some content out. I think I'll manage it. But yeah, busy period, Christmas as always. I'm sure a lot of you guys are feeling the same. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching today. Plenty more FPL content to come in the long term, certainly. Double game weeks are very exciting, and around the corner we're going to be doing stuff around that. And yeah, just hope to see you guys again for the next video. So with that said, I will see you later, mates. Bye bye.